What is going on, SCY? So glad that you're here with us tonight. This is our third and final week of our vision series of the year. Our goal with this is to make sure that you understand what our values are for this year, what we want you to focus on, in hopes that our ministry continues to grow and move and shake. And I'm so excited about that. So week one, as a quick recap, we talked about heart over hype, talked about how we care about your heart. Yes, Wednesdays are hype. Yes, everybody is hyped up, but we care about your heart to grow. We care about if you have a heart for your one. And so we talked about what that looks like. Week two, we talked about we over me. We talked about what it means to be in a group and what does that come along with it. That we could choose to be in community, that we could choose to be we, or we could choose to be me by myself. And that's not what we want. That's not our desire and prayer for you. And today we want to talk about give over get. We want to talk about give over get. And what does that mean? And I'm not going to lie to you. I love getting stuff. I love receiving stuff. I love gifts. When my wife randomly brings me from Starbucks a grande cold brew with salted caramel cold foam, I love it. I feel so loved. I feel so known because she knows that's my favorite drink. I love it. It's so good. I love when I get hugs from my kids. I love when someone just randomly gives me their snack. That happens sometimes, not all the time, but it happens sometimes. I just love getting things. And do you know why I want to talk about it? Why do I love getting? Is because we're selfish. At our core, who we are, you, me, we are selfish people. Do you know how selfish I am? Do you know how I know this about me? Okay, is I've watched Frozen, the movie Frozen, about 25 times in the last 30 days. I could tell you the movie. I could tell you the quotes. I could tell you the characters, the background, all that kind of stuff. Why? Because my 4-year-old is obsessed with it. He loves it. We watch it all of the time. All of the freaking time. Now, here's how selfish I am. One day, I didn't want to watch it anymore. Dear God, can we watch something else, please? And so I lied to my 4-year-old son. I lied to him and said, buddy, it's broken. Frozen is broken. All the other movies in the world, they are working, but for whatever reason, Frozen is not working. And he believes me. That's how selfish I am. I lied to my 4-year-old son that I did not want to watch Frozen. And so I didn't. And I told him it was broken. Okay? At a core, that's like us. We do this all the time. And we are selfish people. We've all been there. See, let me tell you something. And something that I want to challenge you with, and as we move forward in this new year, is are you really selfish? I want you to ask that really tough reflection question, because here's the thing, is I could probably tell you if you are or not. If you were to let me look at your calendar, if you were to let me look at your bank account and what you spend your money on and what you spend your time on, I could tell you what you truly value. I could tell you what you get behind, what you spend time doing, and what you spend your money on. I could tell you what you truly value, aka I could tell you what you are all about. That if you're spending money on yourself, spending time on yourself, if you're only spending time doing those things, that could be a problem. But if you're being generous with those times, which is why I want us to be a ministry that's all about giving over getting. See, would you agree with this statement or no? Okay. We live in a culture where we prefer to get more than we give. We live in a culture where we would rather get than to give or to be generous. And I would say that we do. And see, tonight's topic could be awkward, and I get that, because whenever I seem to bring a friend to church, it's always about an awkward topic. And tonight could be that. I don't know. But I want to just be upfront with you, is that I want to talk tonight about your time, and I want to talk tonight about your money. Straight up. No ifs, ands, or buts, no sugarcoating. I just want to talk to you about those two things. Why? Because Jesus talked more about our time and our money more than anything else that he talked about. So therefore, I deem it important for us to navigate and talk through and have discussions about those things too. See, SCY, I want us to be a culture where we are all about give over get. I want us to be known as a ministry, as a body of students who is so generous that people wonder why we do what we do. So why do we need to give? What is the point? Why do we need to be a ministry that's about give over get? See, have you ever been around someone who just takes from you? Have you ever been around someone who just constantly takes from you? They don't give anything. They either take time, energy, they take your money, they take your food, but they never repay it. They never repay it back. They never give you anything. Like, I don't know about you, but those are kind of people that I don't want to be around. Those are selfish people, and they're draining in a relationship. Maybe you have that in a relationship with a boyfriend or girlfriend in the past. Maybe you have a friendship. You have a friend that constantly takes but never gives back. Maybe you have a family member along the same line. See, how does that make you feel? I know for me, it doesn't make me feel good. And so we need to be about give over get. And my question to you, and the question I know you're asking, is why? Why do we need to be known for how generous we are? Why do we need to be known as a ministry that's all about giving more than about getting? And I got 3 things for you that I want us to challenge and be challenged by tonight. So number 1, if you're taking notes, is this. We are called to be light. We are called to be light. Jesus says this in Matthew 5. He actually talks all about it. He says, "You are the light of the world. Like a city on a hilltop that cannot be hidden. No one lights a lamp and then puts it underneath the basket. Instead, a lamp is placed on a stand where it gives light to everybody in the house." See, as we become more and more who God has called us to be, more like him, through the process, what's called sanctification, meaning as you are a Jesus follower, every day you're becoming more and more like Jesus, challenged to be molded, convicted to be more and more who like Jesus is, that we reflect on God more and more. And we become more loving. We become more gracious. We become more giving. We become more patient. We become all of the fruits of the spirits that come along. Because God is so generous, we are now called to be generous. God has already given us so much that we are called to be generous. And that generosity, here's the thing, it doesn't only point others to God. Because when we're generous, people wonder and they see like, man, what are you all about? So not only points others to God, it's an appropriate response to what God has already done for us. I mean, think about it. That our response to God's abundance with us is this, so that we could share our abundance with others. That when we appropriately receive God's generosity, it humbles us. It makes us rethink things. We recognize that we're not worthy of this gift. Out of our gratefulness, we become more and more generous to others. And we begin to learn that the heart of God, and we want to be more like God. See, think about this. When it comes to year 1, when it comes to your friend that does not know who Jesus is, that you already have a relationship with, hopefully that you've been coming and being intentional with their life and inviting them to come to see what groups are all about. So when it comes to year 1, I want you to think about this, that you might be the only light and experience of Jesus they will ever know. That when they interact with you, and because we are a ministry that we want to be a ministry that's all about giving over getting, is that their interaction with you could be the only light of Jesus that they could experience that may turn them to him. See, and if you're living that life, does your life demand an explanation? Because people should be looking at us as an example of like, man, there's something different. He's so generous. She's so generous. What's different about them? That we're called to be a light in a very dark place. And when you live a life that is all about give over get, people will notice, and that you are a light in a dark place. Number 2, if you're taking notes, is this. Why we need to be generous. Why we need to be a give over get culture and ministry is that giving is good for relationships. Think about it. Giving is good for relationships. That generosity has positive effects on human relationships. That when one person gives freely to another, the recipient of that person is better off. And so therefore, if that person is better off, then what they give back to you is something that makes you better off. It passes it forward in the gift. See, the Christian life, it should be a result, like the result of that should be much greater. Jesus taught us that it is blessed to give more than to receive, as he says in Acts 20. See, let me ask you a generic, basic, relational question. If I spent more time and money with my wife, would that be good or bad in our relationship? Would that be good or bad? I would say that it would be good because more time means that I care for her. Quality time is a good thing for her. It's a good thing for our relationships. More money on her shows that I care for her and I want to give her all the things that she needs in order to be successful in all the things that she does. I think that those things would be good for our relationship when I'm giving in that relationship. So let me ask you, I don't know about you, but I love being around generous people. So let me ask you this question, really tough question. If you spent as much time and as much money as you did with Jesus, would you still have the friendships that you do today? That's tough. That's a tough question. Because if you spent as much time with much time with your friends as you did with Jesus, would you still have good relationships and friendships? If you spend as much money as you do on your friends and the things that you want to do as you did with Jesus, like that should be challenging to us. That should be something that we take and be like, man, what do I do with my time and what do I do with my money? Because I love to be around generous people. There's something different about them. That when people understand that it's better to give in relationships, that their relationships is about give over get, that when both people try to outserve and try to out-generous each other, outgive each other, outserve each other, that relationship is just so much stronger. And that could go with any relationship. Think about any relationship in your home, with a boyfriend or girlfriend, with a friendship. Think about how much benefit you would receive if you were to choose to be a give over get type person. The third thing is that giving increases our faith. Why do we need to be a generous ministry? Why do we need to be students who are a give over get? Because giving increases our faith. Not only does our giving demonstrate God's character into the world, but it results in an increased faith for us. That when we're willing to give, when we're willing to declare that our faith does not depend on our material possessions, instead, we show that our faith is in God, who is always faithful and who always provides. That challenges us to be more faithful because it's not about the stuff. It's not about the things. That God actually it increases our faith when we give because we're showing that it's not depending on what we have or what we own, but it's all about on who God is and his faithfulness to us. That when we live a give over get life, and that's something that we want for you this year, we realize that even if God never did another thing for us for the rest of our life, he's already given us more than we ever deserve. Because we're sinners, and God gave his one and only Son to be put to death on a cross for your sins, for my sins, so that we could have eternal life in him. That's awesome. That's what generosity is all about. And we have a God that demonstrates it. He doesn't just tell us to be generous to give away our stuff and then he gets to keep everything. He models it himself of what it means to be generous. See, well, Justin, okay, how can I give? Right, I'm only in middle school. I'm only in high school. What does that mean? So here's my answer. Here's my 2 challenges for you. And maybe this is where I'm going to challenge you to do both. Okay. Number 1, I want to challenge you. What would it look like to give in finances? To give in the money category. See, maybe for you, maybe you have some kind of income. Maybe you're a high school student, you're working, you're making some money, you're babysitting. Maybe if you're a middle schooler, you have some allowance, so you get some sort of income that happens. I would challenge you to start tithing now. I would start to challenge you to start giving 10% because that's what a tithe is. It's giving 10% of what you make back to the church. And I would challenge you to get in that habit now because when you're old like I am, it's just a part of your routine of your monthly faith process. See, I'm one of those people who my parents took this serious. And so every $10 that I made, I would tithe. And that was a big part of our household. And it's become like, I remember getting upset. I'm like, well, why don't I work so hard for this money? Why do I have to give it away? But now as a husband, as a dad, as a pastor, as someone who does this and talks with people about tithing, like I see the benefits of what giving does and how it increases our faith, because it really does force us to not depend on material things or on our bank account to give us security, but it actually helps us realize that God will provide and give us enough for what we need to survive. And something that I've learned that I've been challenged by myself is this, is that I cannot outgive God. God is so generous that every time that I give and I think it's above and beyond of what I could afford, God provides always. And he may not give. It's not a prosperity gospel thing where like, if you give this much, God will give you this much in return. It's not all about the money and possessions. It's about what the things that God has done for us and will continue to do for us in provision. And us giving of our tithes allows us to put our faith more so in God and increases our faith. The second part that I want to challenge you, maybe that you could spend time and to be generous is with your time and your calendar. Have you ever heard the expression, time is money, right? Everybody gets the same amount of time. So it depends on how you use that time is what makes it valuable or not. Let me ask you, what are you spending your time on? Who are you spending your time with? My question to you, if you call Sandals Church home, are you serving on the weekends? Are you on a team and that you're serving? You're not just coming to church, checking out the box of a Wednesday night in small group, but you're actually coming here and giving rather than just getting. We're not being consumers of just everything of what fits for me, but we're actually giving back to the church. Are you serving on the weekend? See, my question to you is if you're not, why? For real, why not? If this is a place that you call home and you love it and you're challenged to grow in your faith, why are you not giving back in your time and serving on the weekends? Do you know how much your presence as young people in our church matter to the church as a whole? That you guys could lead out adults and being an example to adults, saying like what it means to serve and to give, rather and have it be a culture of give over get. Like, did you know that you could be a small group leader? Like your small group leaders that are around you right now who love and serve you by coming here on a Wednesday night, that you could do that for elementary kids? You could do that for the littles. You could do that for my kid. I would love to have some of you lead my kid and serve in that way. Can you stand in a parking lot and point and smile and wave? You could serve on the parking team. Can you be welcoming and show people where they're supposed to sit inside the auditoriums? You could be on the guest services team and get people. My challenge to you is serve. Serve on the tech team and production team. Serve on the worship team. If we could determine what we value by what we spend our time and our money on, I want to challenge you, man, where are you spending your time? That's one way that we could be a ministry of give over get. And I want to challenge you to start serving. You could go to MOVE.SC/teams and you could look at all of the different areas to serve. And I want to challenge you, if you're not serving right now on the weekends, I want you to. We need you to. And your faith will grow because of that. See, I want us to be a ministry that's all about give over get. I want us to be a ministry that's all about where we are known for how generous we are, how much we are giving, rather than being just consumers and taking and getting everything. See, Christians are giving people. We're supposed to. Our God models it. And here's the thing is that when Christ followers, when we give, and in our giving, we actually lose nothing. Because when we give, we empty ourselves in order to be filled up by God again. God says, give and it will be given to you. A good measure, pressed down, shaken together, running over, will be poured into your lap. For the measure that you use, it will be measured to you. It says in Luke 6. What does that mean? It says, God, hey, when you spend and what you value and the time that you do, that same time and what you value will be used against us when we stand before God in heaven and he's asked us, hey, what have you done with your time? Have you been generous like I have been to you? And that should be something that we are concerned with going into this new year. So could you imagine, let me end with this. Could you imagine how different your home life would be if you were to live a give over get mentality? Could you imagine how much better and stronger and vibrant your relationships and friendships would be if you were to live a give over get mentality? Could you imagine how much stronger faith and relationship with Jesus you would have if you went into the same thing? It's not about what he gives to us, but it's about what we could give back to him. How much stronger your relationship would be with Jesus. That's our hope. That's our prayer. I really want us to live our life for Jesus. We need to have this give over get mentality. He gave his life for us. The least we can do is to serve and to give back to him. That he did the most selfless thing that anyone could ever do. So for us to give back with him, with our time, with our tithe, and with our offering, and with us serving his church, it can make a huge difference in our faith. So let me ask you, are you giving or are you getting? Cannot wait for you guys to have these discussions in your small groups tonight. We hope that they are awesome, and we love you, and we'll see you next week.
Man, give over get. What a challenge we heard today. Listen, Justin said Jesus gave his life for you, the most selfless thing he can do so that we can give back. And listen, I know it's hard, at least for me, maybe you can relate too, but hear me say we don't have to do it alone. We can do it together, and that is why we do groups. So if you're not in a group tonight, get connected, and you could do that by texting the number on the screen. You won't regret it.